My name's Max, and ED nearly destroyed my life. Yes, as weird as it sounds, ED nearly cost me my 20-year-old marriage, my family and kids, my health, and more. And I'll tell you more about my story in a minute. But first, if you're suffering from ED, trust me, you're not alone, and I totally know how you feel. The good news is that in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you an unusual and ancient secret method that not only cured my ED, but now gives me bulging, pulsating, Superman-style erections that make my wife the most satisfied woman on earth. As you'll see in a moment, men from ages 21 to 88 have raved about the effectiveness of this method. We also know for a fact this secret works especially on men who are 30, 40, 50, or even 60 from the thousands of testimonials we've received. It doesn't matter whether you've suffered from ED for years or whether you've recently begun to go soft or can't get it up at all. And it doesn't matter if you've tried pills, pumps, or other ED treatments like that, because it isn't about that. Because what I'm about to give you is not a treatment. It's not a temporary fix that helps ease the symptoms. I'm talking about a one-of-a-kind solution that addresses ED at its core. Now, at last, this secret method is available to regular guys like you and me, but not to every man, only the ones that truly desire their ED to be permanently reversed. So in order to continue, you must agree to 3 rules in order to join our private online test group. I'll tell you the 3 rules in just a moment, and as long as you qualify and apply this, you can reverse your ED and get harder than steel in the next 24 hours. Imagine the sexual freedom you'll have when you can instantly command a rock-hard, pulsating erection to appear. And not just any erection, one that is even more potent than the ones you sported as a teenager. But unlike your adolescent erections, now you will be in complete command of your manhood. You won't pitch a tent at the wrong times, but the moment you want to summon an erection, it'll be ready to make your wife explode with pleasure and scream your name to the heavens, because you and you alone satisfy her like no other man possibly could. And you'll do this without pills, without pumps, and without painful injections or risky surgery. All I ask is that you agree to 3 ground rules before I spill this revolutionary secret, which one of the world's most powerful industries doesn't want you to know. Rule number 1, you must give me your complete attention. Turn off your phone, close your door, and focus on this presentation until the very end. This is the only way that you will reverse your ED quickly and permanently. Rule number 2, you must agree to use this information responsibly. My life's mission is to save the marriages of men like me who suffered from ED, not to break up marriages. Once your manhood is operating at maximum strength, please do not abuse your power. And rule number 3, do not share this secret with your friends or on the internet. As I said, this information is only for men who I can trust to use it responsibly. As long as you agree to follow these 3 rules, we can continue. Now, the first thing you need to know is that this presentation is sending shockwaves through the pharmaceutical industry. The reason is simple. Big Pharma rakes in billions per year from drugs that treat ED, like Viagra and Cialis. Obviously, these billionaire drug pushers weren't going to be happy when they learned that I was sharing a drop-dead simple ED cure that would make their products irrelevant. This really is that important, because I know from personal experience how devastating ED can be, and not just for you, but for your wife and for your marriage. In fact, it was my own painful and humiliating history with ED that led me on a personal quest to find a cure and take back my manhood, no matter what the cost. What's funny is that back when I was a kid, getting too many erections was the problem. I'm sure you can relate. Waking up every morning of grade school with a stiffy you could pound nails with, I'd have to rub one out in the shower before I got dressed and caught the bus to school. Then, throughout the day, my penis would seem to have a life of its own and just stand up at the most inconvenient times. Back then, it was the most embarrassing thing ever, and I wished it'd stop. But then, fast forward to me in my mid-40s, and I was desperate to have an erection like that again. I was married to the love of my life, Charlene. We'd always enjoyed the kind of sex life that made other couples jealous. But then, over time, it started becoming more difficult for me to get an erection. And when I was able to get it hard, it just wasn't as firm as it used to be. I thought it was due to the stress at my job. or maybe my unhealthy diet. But then one night on my 45th birthday, I realized my ED was becoming a serious problem. Trying to have sex in my sorry condition would be like shooting pool with a piece of rope. We tried everything to get my little soldier to stand up and salute, but for some reason, the more she tried, the limper it got, until finally, after almost 1 hour, she sighed and rolled over to get dressed. And as my wife walked to the bathroom, she glanced back over her shoulder and gave me a look I'll never forget, a look of pity and disgust. But as repulsed as she was with me, her husband of 20 years, who couldn't even get it up for her anymore, I was 1,000 times more ashamed with myself. This didn't happen every time we tried to do it, but it was happening enough to make me start avoiding sex. Charlene and I would be lying in bed together, and I could tell she was in the mood to fool around, so I'd pretend to yawn and say something about how